begins with the red. Before you see the faces, before you understand the tragedy, you are assaulted by the color. It isn't just in the blood. It soaks the carpets. It stains the shadows. It seems to hum in the very air of the room. We are entering a space where a sound has just died. A scream has been cut short, replaced by a sudden deafening silence. The air is heavy, smelling of iron and old velvet. Look at the chaos on the floor. An overturned chair, a crumpled rug. These are the debris of a fight, the physical evidence of a temper that flared and extinguished in the blink of an eye. But the struggle is over. Now, we are witnessing something far more terrifying than violence. We are witnessing the precise moment realization sets in. But why does this image haunt us? It is not merely the gore. Art history is filled with martyrdom and battles, with severed heads and crucified saints. But this is different. This is intimate. Created in 1885 by the master of Russian realism, Ilya Repin, this is Ivan the Terrible and his son. But to understand the horror of this moment, you have to understand the man holding the body. Ivan IV wasn't just a king. He was the first Tsar of all Russia, a figure of almost mythical violence and genius. History calls him the Terrible, but the Russian word Grozny doesn't mean bad, it means fearsome, formidable. He ascended the throne at age 3. By 16 he was crowned. He was a man of contradictions, a devout religious zealot who would pray for hours banging his forehead against the floor and then order the massacre of entire cities. He was a visionary. He conquered Kazan. He took Siberia. He transformed a medieval state into a massive empire. But as he aged, the genius turned into paranoia. He saw treason in every shadow. He executed his friends. He purged his court. He trusted no one, except for one person, the boy in his arms. The Tsarevich was the only person Ivan had groomed to hold this massive, terrifying empire together. He was Ivan's hope, his masterpiece, the only thing the Tsar loved more than power. And here, on a dirty floor, the formidable Tsar has destroyed it all. The crown is gone. The iron-tipped staff, the symbol of his absolute power, lies abandoned in the foreground. It has served its final, terrible purpose. Now he is just an old man in a black robe, clutching the breaking body of his own legacy. The composition locks them together in a triangle of despair. You cannot separate the killer from the victim. They are fused by the very act that destroys them. Ivan holds his son with a grip that is desperate, possessive, terrified. He is physically pressing against the wound at the temple, as if the sheer force of his will could reverse the flow of time. But time only moves in one direction. It does not care about wealth. It does not care about power. And that is the horror Repin forces us to confront. The absolute crushing weight of the word irrevocable. But why would anyone paint something this horrific? Ilya Repin wasn't painting for fun. He was painting from trauma. He had just witnessed the assassination of Tsar Alexander II. He had seen the public executions that followed. He had traveled to Europe and watched bullfights, fascinated by the way blood looked in the sand. He felt the world was drowning in violence, and he wanted to show that even the most powerful men on earth were just meat and bone. But the Russian government did not see it that way. When the painting was revealed, Emperor Alexander III was horrified. He didn't see a masterpiece. He saw a threat. He believed this painting was a lie that damaged the dignity of the monarchy. How could the father of the nation be a killer of his own son? So, in 1885, they did something unprecedented. They banned it. It was the first painting in Russian history to be censored. They tried to hide it away, fearing it might spark a revolution. But you cannot hide a scream this loud. Even after it was allowed back on display, the painting seemed to carry a curse. It was so realistic, so intense, that people felt physically sick looking at it. In 1913, a man named Abram Balashov, a religious icon painter, walked into the gallery. He stood before the canvas, shaking. The guilt in the Tsar's eyes was too much for him. He shouted, "Enough blood!" He pulled out a knife and stabbed the painting 3 times, slashing the faces of the father and the son, trying to kill the image. The tragedy didn't end there. The curator of the gallery, the man responsible for protecting the art, was so devastated by the attack that he threw himself under a train. The painting had claimed a real life. The most mortifying thing in this image isn't actually the blood. It's the eyes. This is perhaps the most terrifying gaze in the history of art. In Ivan's eyes, we do not see anger. The anger is gone, spent in the blow that struck his son. Instead, we see a cognitive collapse. The pupils are dilated, staring into a void that no one else can see. It is the look of a man realizing that he has just murdered his own future. It is a mixture of animal terror, disbelief, and a grief so profound it borders on insanity. There is a phenomenon called the deafening silence. It's the moment shock is so severe that the brain shuts out all sound. Looking at this face, you can hear that silence. He is screaming without a sound. Now, lower your gaze. Look at the son, the Tsarevich. The contrast is heartbreaking. While the father is a portrait of madness, the son is a portrait of horrific clarity. A single tear streaks down his cheek, not a tear of pain, but of resignation. His hand does not fight his father. It rests weakly on his arm. Some suggest this is forgiveness. Even as his life drains away, the son comforts the father who killed him. Repin captures the exact millisecond the soul leaves the body. The tension is fading. Gravity is winning. The physics of the painting tell us what the father refuses to believe. It is over. This death is not just a family tragedy. It is the suicide of an empire. When Ivan's staff struck that temple, he didn't just kill his son. He killed the Rurik dynasty. He killed the stability of Russia for the next 30 years. That single blow led to civil war, famine, and the rise of the Romanovs. The blood on his hands is the blood of thousands who haven't even died yet. Ivan was the absolute ruler, answerable only to God. But in this room, on this carpet, he is powerless. He cannot command the blood to stop flowing. He cannot command the heart to keep beating. He cannot command time to go back, because time treats everyone the same. He is alone with his sin. So when you stand before this painting, you aren't just looking at a czar. You are looking at the terrifying fragility of self-control. You are watching a man break, and in the glassy, terrified eyes of Ivan the Terrible, you see the one thing that scares us more than death itself. The knowledge that some things cannot be fixed. Some stains never wash out. And sometimes the only thing left to do is regret.